Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TDL season kickoff and schedule reveal show. I'm your NFC commissioner, Jets Andrew.
I'm your AFC commissioner, Philly Chris.
We are the main bulk of our show tonight. It's going to be a schedule reveal with some special guests. We're going to highlight on some matchups and kind of chit chat about what we're looking forward to and some of the excitement going forward in this league.
And before we get into that, we wanted to kind of do a PSA. So the waivers have started to run, and the waiver system on MFL can be confusing. And we've had some owners reach out to us and express that. So I'm sharing my screen right now. I want to walk you guys through the process on MFL and what you can do to try to make sure that you get your best chances of getting who you want. So you go to the add drops and you're going to pick the player to add and you scroll further down. Now, something MFL does in our league that's kind of annoying is they autofill this box with a comma, but when you go to submit your request, it's going to reject it because there's a comma.
Yeah,
so
whatever you remove the comma.
Yeah, whatever your bid is, make sure you remove the comma. And so submit request. So I'm going to load up with more than one player because this is where this really gets confusing. Okay. And let's just put 3 in here. Already clicked that guy. So you see that I've got all 3 players here in group 1 and they're in this order. So what you want to do is the player that you most want to acquire, you want to have first in group 1. Then you need to copy the entire group to group 2, and the player you want second most, I will move up into first in the second group.
You probably can remove the previous first person if you would like.
Right, yes, if it makes it simpler to move these guys up and down. So the third most wanted player in our group that we started with at the top was Geronimo Allison. So now in the third group, I'm going to have him at the top. So I ran into this problem last year. I had never per week tried to acquire more than a single player. So there's a week last year where I was trying to get 3 guys. I put them all in to group 1. The waivers ran in my league and I checked the transactions list the next day. And I only got 1 of the 3 guys, even though I knew I had put in the highest bid on all 3 of them. And it's because I had never encountered trying to pick up more than 1 player at a time. So I didn't know that you have to copy these guys to your different groups and move them up and down in order.
Yeah, pretty much the rule of thumb is you're only going to acquire 1 player per group. So if you try to acquire 3 players, you need 3 groups. If you just want 1 player, but you have 5 guys possibly, you can just do 1 group with 5 guys. It would just only acquire 1 player per group.
Right. So, but if you're dead set on trying to acquire all of those guys, you need to make at least that many groups and tier them, put the player you want most in 1 in group 1, the player you want second most 1 in group 2, the player you want third most 1 in group 3, and so on. So hopefully that helps you guys.
Yep. So that was a little snippet of some help on adding, and you can actually add some drops in there too, tied into each person. But we'll try to come at you with some more tips and tricks if we hear some grumblings and issues that we come through. We're looking forward to our next segment coming up where we're going to bring some special guests in and talk about our schedule.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. See you there. Welcome back, everyone. This is the portion of the show we're going to do our schedule reveal. We've got 2 special guests tonight. So the first one on the docket, we've got Carolina Chip. Hello, Chip. How you doing tonight?
Very good.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Chip. And from the AFC, we've got Ravens Rinku.
Maybe.
Welcome, Rico.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, good to see you.
All right. So we're going to be revealing the schedule, and without further ado, we're going to share the schedule with everyone that's watching tonight.
Hey, that's pretty good.
All right. So what do we want to talk about first, Chris?
Let's run down some of the week 1 matchups.
No? Okay.
One of the first ones that stands out to me is yourself and Chip. What are you guys looking at there?
Well, I think Andrew's definitely in win now mode, so it's kind of a big blow if he doesn't get a win here. Kind of sets up his season not so well when somehow I manage to squeak out a victory. It is also week 1. It's definitely going to decide who takes the early lead in the conference battle. It's all AFC versus NFC.
Yeah, it's a lot of matchups. I think it's going to be a good one. Chip's been a great addition to our league, and I'm looking forward to a little bit of the shit talk, a little bit of the camaraderie we develop. I will admit I'm in more of a win now mode than some others, but you don't count the wins until you actually wake up on Monday night, Tuesday morning. So,
Or in some cases until week 2.
The another matchup we're looking at on week 1 is probably a fun one there, Chris. It's going to be Rinku versus Jeff.
Yeah, I was talking to Jeff earlier tonight, and he wanted me to tell Rinku that he's glad that Rinku is his week 1 opponent.
Shots fired! Shots fired! I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I like hearing opponents say that about us, Yeah, I wish we got to talk. Jeff and I have had some great conversations since we started the league, and team building ideas and draft strategies and battling over players. Obviously, the one that everyone remembers during the auction, Jack and Price's back and forth on the tight ends and talking about tight end usage in our league. And so throughout the summer, has been some good knowledge talks back and forth. So excited to face him. I think that was, and going back to, the Jets and Andrew and Chip's battles, a lot of the matchups I was looking at, and the reason I was looking at is the way you said it. You guys used the phrase, win now versus not. I think another angle I wanted to look at, like for your matchup, especially with the Jets and Panthers, was I wanted to look at the teams and the different ways they did stuff. For example, the Jets were one of the most active teams we had this summer, whether it was the draft time, the auction time, and the movement. There are several teams like that, but the Jets are one of them. And so I had my eye on that. Whether you were building for now versus later. And, some of the times you hear me use that word, a date of birth team. That means you're so young and you've got, just all you rookies are all young guys and you're looking for a next couple of years worth. And then, some of the people in our league, that was kind of cool the way you guys set it up. We did the special way of when we had our auction, the remaining dollars turned out to be your draft pick lineup. So we had some teams that had different money situations and then their drafts. Teams like Pittsburgh and Tennessee, how they finished at the top of for the draft board for the draft time. Seattle and New Orleans in the NFC. And so that was kind of neat to see who did that and what their approach was going to be, and now who they're facing week 1. And here's the summer deciding their formula. How's it going to turn out in week 1?
Yeah, that's just very good.
I kind of was interested to see, and I see you've got it here. You've already begun some AFC, NFC matchups, and that's really cool. Like off the bat in week 1 in a big league like this, Seattle and Indianapolis play each other. The Saints, have the Green Bay, but the Chargers and the Redskins play each other, or Washington play each other. Denver and the Giants play each other. Chris plays the Atlanta Falcons. And so some of those are kind of cool. And based on what I just kind of said, they kind of check multiple boxes. Like, Chris's matchup coming up with Atlanta, it's an AFC NFC matchup. That's a cool thing in our league. If we won. And Atlanta was a mover shaker team that I wanted to kind of see how they pan out. And so that's kind of cool. And so to have multiple things in some of these, the Chargers in Washington is a date of birth team versus a win now team, but it's an AFC NFC match crossover too. So some of these, that was kind of my other reason I wanted to see some of these matchups of whose formula versus somebody else's kind of formula. And then sometimes they're the same. It's a triplet versus a triplet. That's going to be kind of fun in week one.
Yeah,
That's
the one thing when I was creating the schedule, I didn't want, it to be so uniform. I want it to be kind of, a good mix of some AFC, NFC matchups. The only kind of, solidified AFC, NFC weeks are the weeks you're playing your divisional opponents. So I tried to tie those into the double header weeks, as best I could. So I hope everyone enjoys their schedule. And we got any more matchups there that we want to talk about?
Yeah, as far as, guys that are active and the league and, enjoy listening to them go back and forth. The Browns at KC.
Say it.
Well, Browns and KC week 1 stands out to me. What else stands out to me?
That's a mouth versus mouth, voices of our conference,
Yep.
Player movement deluxe. What was it at one point? Andrew calculated at some point there were only like 60, 70 trades in our league, and 40 of them were the Chiefs.
Wait, what?
And so to see those two teams match up, Herbert versus Rodgers, Kareem Hunt and Amari Cooper versus Rojo, and to see them, and then they both got triple linebackers. Is it going to come down to the D line with JPP for John versus the safety play with Chad? Is that the deciding factor? But they both are very similar in how they're designed, and as you said, the voices of our conference. So it'll be fun to see when week 2 starts who gets to mouth off at the other one and own it for until the next week's matchup.
Right. One team I'm going to be watching all year long this year is Sean. And Andrew, we talked about this in prep for the show, and I honestly don't remember who took Pitts in the AFC. Was that Jeff?
It is Jeff.
It is Jeff. That's what I thought.
Braided up.
So just as kind of an NFL/fantasy meta storyline through the year, I'm going to be watching Kyle Pitts like a hawk and what he does, and looking back on where he was taken. But yeah, I like the week 1 matchup of Sean at Detroit also.
Yep. Well, I'll tie that into you get to play Sean in week 2. So yeah, I know you two guys are in leagues together, and you always talk to me about how Sean is always bidding up your guys. You're always bidding up Sean's guys.
Yeah.
So that's always an interesting storyline.
Yeah, for sure. Is kind of a stepping out of week 1. I think one of the divisions that to me looks the toughest is the AFC West. And I know all of us in my division cross over with the AFC West. So, it's going to play into the outcomes in my own division and my own team. But I'm going to be very closely watching the AFC West battle, and also, myself and the rest of my division mates against the AFC West.
Well, on that point, I mean, like, the two matchups that I was talking about, the Chargers do play your East teammate, the Washington out the bat. Two styles, Cam's got the date of birth roster, all young kids who can't even buy booze or cigarettes. And Washington's got, again, Herbert and Josh Jacobs, and Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen in a power offense. So that'll be something you'll be looking at for your win-loss record in your division. Denver plays the Giants off the bat, like you're saying, in your division. That's there. you get the one we talked about, with Romero, the Falcons, and that one just looks kind of uniquely different teams. You've got the Josh Allen X factor, the huge quarterback, Chubb with the double linebackers, Martinez and Schobert as anchors, but he's got linebackers. He's got Demario Davis, I love David, and Jamie Collins, and he's got wide receivers. So is the quarterback the X factor? So that'll be fun to see. But I'm sure what you're describing, whoever gets out to the 1-0 versus 0-1, 0-1, 0-1 could be there. But again, the other part, it's not a division loss. It'll be a cross conference loss. So, from their point of view, is it won't be as ugly as having a division loss. So,
Any thoughts on your side there, Chip?
I think, just speaking of the Western conferences, I think the NFC West is also looking really competitive. So that's obviously one that I'll keep an eye on because they're in conference. I was obviously looking at the AFC West as well because I want to see where I match up with those teams because I also think it's going to be super competitive. And I don't want to be the one they're highlighting on their schedule to get them back up the rankings in their division. So that's what I want to be ready for. And if we're talking farther down the line, I actually have a question for you guys. Do you think Jimmy G is going to be starting in week 11 still?
Oh, in week 11.
Because that coincides with Matt Stafford's bye, who the Houston Texans have a double header that weekend. So Stafford's his bye and his other quarterback is Jimmy G. So do we think there's a quarterback for that doubleheader?
No. And looking at rosters across the league, it looks like there's a lot of quarterback issues lurking. I mean, we've got guys that still have just one starter on their roster. Then we've got other guys that might have one starter, a backup, and a guy that's going to lose his job. I just had to pull a trade with Dan. I sent him Cam Newton and I sent him Cam Hayward to get Ryan Fitzpatrick.
For all the ladies out there, I'm sorry. And
because I did not think by the time Josh Allen's bye rolls around, Cam Newton's going to be starting. And I don't want to be bent over a barrel mid-season when Josh Allen is on a bye.
I was trying to get Ryan Fitzpatrick from him too, and you just beat me to it.
I think this is something that these guys need to be thinking about and that could really catch up to him because you have to start a quarterback.
So I'll flip this on its head. We were talking about some active guys, some tough conferences possibly. What about the AFC South, the conference of quieter members at this point?
Yep.
The Colts roster looks pretty good.
Yeah.
There are some good
That's the
rosters.
library section, and the Colts are definitely the library. It looks like they're running.
Well, they're attached to what Chip brought up with the West. Seattle and Indianapolis play each other off the bat, cross conference, but Seattle was the number one pick in the NFC, so they saved all the money, so to speak. Indy was a quiet, sure but steady kind of team. Didn't dip their foot in the auction for a while, and then came on after and started putting money. And they face off in week 1 with triplet versus triplet. Russell Wilson versus L-Jax. Ezekiel Elliott versus Aaron Jones. Derrick Henry and then OBJ and some other receivers. So they're offensive heavy and punch right off the bat. Could be, really fun on week 1, especially when we know defenses are usually ahead of offenses, as we say in reality. So how will RW and L-Jax come out the gate,
Yeah. Yeah, that's the conference inter conference. Is it inter or intra? That's my AFC opponents.
Yeah. Intra. I really like New Orleans and Green Bay too. New Orleans was the number 2 pick on the NFC side. Again, a team that saved all the money and had the number 2 pick. And their team design is built on triplets. Lamar Jackson, Dalvin Cook, and Tyreek, just 3 star-studded names. And Green Bay has similarly Barkley, McCaffrey, and Hopkins. So 6 star-studded names
going up
each
against
other
each
off
other.
the bat. And I don't know. I think maybe the difference, the delta here, Green Bay has 2 really good defensive ends. They've got Sweat and somebody else. Maybe that's what the deciding factor will be in that one. But That's a juggernaut matchup in week one between, six stars to the names. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
powerful.
and Green Bay should get to play Cincinnati there in week 6 when Daniel Jones is on a bye, week 10. So looked at the schedule wrong there, but that is another team that Cincinnati that only has one quarterback. So
Yeah.
that bye week will come into play for sure.
And
Kevin's a mover shaker, we know, so he'll look to making moves. We know he's a mover shaker.
one of the other factors that it would be way too complicated for us to do all of this as part of our show prep, but one of the other factors is that every now and then when you're playing a guy cross conference, he'll have the same quarterback, he'll have the same star linebacker, he'll have the same star wide receiver, and it winds up being a wash for you.
The depth.
I know that myself and Jeff of the Raiders, we don't have a ton of huge players, but there's a handful of players that we have that are starters that we both have. So it's really going to come down to these secondary, third kind of guys in deciding the matchups. And it's really neat when that kind of thing happens. It can be frustrating, but it's pretty cool that it happens in leagues like this.
I actually thought I had that right now, actually, Chris. When I first saw it, I didn't zoom in correctly. I thought I was facing the Rams in week 1. And I do have twins on the Rams, like 5 major players, like Darren Waller,
Right.
names, like the Darren Wallers of the world, big defensive linemen of the world, Mike Davis, offensively of the world. And so it was what you were describing. And I thought I had like basically my week 1 matchup is going to be decided by 5 guys instead of 20 because we're twins. I didn't read it correctly. It's actually the Raiders, but when you have the twin, when you face your alter ego in the Bizarro world, your Bizarro team, then the other part that gets in your mind is if you really are, as we talk in these large MFL big leagues, is the lingo we always use is you have to gauge yourself against the opponent. Is there a David Goliath scenario, or are you close? Because if you're the David or the Goliath in the matchup, then sometimes you don't play the twin player. If you're the David and you're facing the Goliath, playing the twin player doesn't gain you anything. So sometimes you don't put the twin in and you take a swing for the fence because that's your only chance.
Right.
And then the other hand is when you're the Goliath, you want to play all the twins because you want to neutralize that other guy and not give him chances to hit home runs and swing for the fence.
Yeah.
And then if you're even, you make those decisions and they get really tight on a Sunday morning, what you're going to end up doing, playing the twins or not. So that's always fun. And when you have the twins in your lineups.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of chances and tight Sunday mornings, who are you looking at week 1 at quarterback for your team there, Rinku?
I think Monday night really demonstrated a lot. I love the way the Saints came out, and I liked a lot of the post-game analysis that was said by Booger and the gang. I do believe Sean Payton was keeping it tight, and I think it was an even battle going into Monday night's game against the Jaguars. I think the reports have been both players have been doing well, and I think we do agree, a lot of people, that Sean Payton wants to turn Taysom into whatever he can make, what you want to call it, a white Lamar, whatever it is. We saw him in that playoff game they lost against the Vikings a couple of years ago. He was their biggest, best player and asset that day. Kamara may have been slowed. So I think it was even. But I loved what Jameis did. He was assertive. He was had command. He showed up long. He didn't do anything bad. He was near perfect on throws. The one-handed grabs, you could say the receivers made that one play that was great. But just being aggressive, taking chunks, taking middles, not turning it over. He looked fantastic. I think he's in the lead and will have the job. And I'm looking forward to starting him in week 1. On the opposite end of my matchup with Jeff. He's got Dak Prescott coming off a really shaky August of health and wonderment against a fresh off of eating up on the Chiefs defense, Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. So, Dak in that matchup versus I feel Jameis in his week 1 matchup, I'm feeling okay. Maybe 4 weeks ago, that didn't look like a good thing for me. It looked like a sizable advantage for his direction. Now here we are going into September. I think it's closer on a head-to-head quarterback, but I'm looking forward to Jameis I think he showed a lot on Monday, and I think he can show a lot there with their playbook and what they're doing.
Could you think that we'll see Jameis in any LASIK commercials?
If they do something deep in the playoffs and do something big, it wouldn't shock me. Hit that or one of those Joe's Crab Shack restaurant commercials with the crab legs. One of the
Yeah, the Publix commercial with crab legs in.
Or a porno site, fuck that pussy, something like that.
The
little cafeteria commercial.
Yeah, I mean, apparently I've seen a few articles saying that Jameis looks like a new man with LASIK. Seeing the field, not throwing interceptions now. I mean, like, what is this? What's happened to this guy?
The real question is how bad was his vision before?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Monday was more about. I would just, for me personally, and this is not owning him or having this conversation. I'm a Jameis owner, but I think it is agreeable, not unreasonable for me to say. Marquez Callaway and the schmoes they got catching the ball were less of it than Jameis putting together that 9 out of 10, 125 yards, 2 touchdown performance. I mean, that one grab was great, but even if he doesn't make that grab, it's the throw placement, the looking of the throw, and the assertion, like I said, the command he showed very easily and powerfully, the way he was doing it in checks and this and that. All of a sudden, if you're a Kamara owner, and I know AJ of the Steelers has been shopping him around this summer, Kamara owners everywhere in fantasy were holding tight to that 81 catches a year for 4 years deal. And then all the graphics and all the stats coming out on websites this summer, well, it was down to 3 catches a game when that guy plays, the other guy plays. It didn't look like it was in jeopardy as of what you saw on Monday and what you heard from him being in the offense. So I think that was.
But what's the Mike Thomas effect?
Yeah, that guy is just. I really am boggled by what's going on there, and it seems to be in the media and the people that are in the know. I feel badly because I have not heard anybody who has an ear to the situation or in the know that siding with him. I think it really, that's one thing I've not seen. Most everybody's on the side of the team and this and that. Usually you get a lot of folks on the side of the player. I've not seen. He tried to come up with that line, that tweet. I kept my mouth. You tried to, what is it? You tried to, you didn't tell your side of the story to save them. That didn't garner the effect that he thought it would. He didn't get a lot of people on his side. I think the health thing for him has been in complete decline. And I'll say this, I think the third component, I just really believe that even with Drew Brees out of the building, there's still some stale, stagnant air from this last year and a half of off-field social topic talk stuff that happened on that team between Brees and Jenkins and all that. And somehow it kind of seems like it got brushed and put away, but he's not happy with that, how it happened. And, he's like having a feeling that this still is there or lingering.
Can't believe
and
you've
I don't
done
like
this.
how it was brushed and we're not supposed to be on it. Something is there, but he is not jiving with management. He's not jiving with their health team. And it just doesn't look good all the way around. And it's horrible. I mean, the only benefit is at least he got his contract signed. But, contractually, as we've all heard and know too, and his agent, is telling them that, you're not a quarterback. Somebody's not going to pay the delta to eat money to get you, a la Carson Wentz. We're not going to find a buyer in the league that's going to pay a delta to get you and compensate the Saints and cushion the blow of them eating $37 million the way your contract's written. So I'm sure he's aware of that. And so you can't get out. But it's just not jiving. There's something lingering jiving. It's not just this health thing, but I do worry about the health thing. I've always worried about receivers and what their style is. He's a route run guy. He's a bully route run guy. And that's, he's Keyshawn, what Keyshawn was, his uncle. It's a route running guy, and I can take the blows and the collisions because I'm thicker, bigger, and stronger. He doesn't go deep with the speed. He doesn't, he's not a jump ball guy, and he's not a burner. When you lose that ability to make those shimmies and moves, and now he's like Jermaine Crowell or Plaxico Burress, lumberingly looking, and it's different. And so I worry about that. But this other component, there's something there, and it seems to be still stinky. I worry about that, but they seem to be okay without it. They're moving forward. I think the big blow was Troutman got hurt this week, and they wanted him to become something this year. But the other guys are on track. I think Deontay Harris and such.
So since we had the New Orleans Saints breakdown,
3 hours later.
let's move on to another matchup that I'm looking forward to here. Chris, we got Commissioner Bowl in Week 10, so make it or break it. Whoever loses is going to have to give up the commissionership.
Wow.
Winner gets the polo.
And something, so your week 1 against Carolina, right?
Yep.
My week 9 against Carolina.
Yep. It's a
Like,
trifecta.
I'm going to be rooting for, I've got Carolina's 2022 first.
Oh, boy.
So I'm sorry, Chip, but you are a storyline that I will be watching all through the year.
Wow.
So week 1, I'm going to be rooting for Andrew hard. Come week 10, Andrew, go to hell, eat shit and die.
Well, first of all, first Josh talk, I was just counting. We'll have had in week 10, according to the schedule, we'll have 12 games in the win-loss column by then.
Yep.
It looks like. So first prediction, when the Commissioner Bowl happens head-to-head, both of you spit out what's the records going to be when you first meet. I want to hear that trash talk first.
Right,
what are your records when you meet each other? And again, I believe I'm counting correctly, check me, 12 games. So,
Yep. We'll be 12 games in at that point.
12 in the win-loss column. So what's your record?
I will put it as I would expect my team to have at least 8 wins by then.
Okay. So you're going to be throwing out 8-4. Okay.
At least 8-4.
And to keep it interesting, I'll be 8-4 too.
Okay.
And so we're making or breaking something here in week 10.
Or we could have pitched you an over under 3. Will the gap between your wins be over or under 3?
Let me actually take a serious look at this guy.
Under 3, I think.
The gap between your wins will be under 3. So you'll be within 3 wins of each other. Okay.
I honestly, I think so. Look at this schedule.
Okay.
I think I've got 3 or 4 hard games. I can't figure out my division yet. So that's going to be coming out of week 6. Where are we at?
Our blue
week 5,
games.
I'll have a better idea.
Division games, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The blue are the divisional.
So if blue or division, by then you'll have played 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
You'll play New England twice, and you'll have 4 by then when you play him. Okay.
Sorry, Rodney, if you watch this, but I think I can be 2-0 versus you this year.
Ooh. Does Rodney still have 7 quarterbacks?
He's got like 4 or 5, maybe.
Is it 7, 4, or 5, or something like that? Yeah.
All right. Well, we have any more matchups to highlight, it, guys?
I mean, like I said, I think Pittsburgh Buffalo is an interesting one. Buffalo Dave has been a really strong owner on our side. He's made a lot of good trades. He's always active. Pittsburgh AJ has been was the team that won the Money Bowl out of the free agency. So he had the number 1 pick. And so he's constructed a team with Kamara, Najee Harris, and Tyreek at the top. And on the other side, Buffalo's got Patrick Mahomes, Nick Chubb, and Josh Jacobs. So another triplet versus triplet. Maybe the difference in that game, week 1, will be Buffalo does have some defensive line stars. They've got Bucker and Watt. So, we talked about, I wish Jeff hadn't traded Kittle away, because he was such a big tight end proponent for the league and whatnot, because then in our matchup, he would have had Dak Prescott with Kittle.
This is the Kittle owner right here.
Versus, right, he traded you Kittle versus Jameis Winston, my Jamar Chase rookie pick versus his Pitts pick, and then Kelsey versus Kittle. But we don't have that angle in our matchup. So, definitely defense versus offense for he and I. But like I said, those other ones, Seattle, Indy, and New Orleans, Green Bay were great. That Denver Giants one has an appeal as well. And so those are some good ones I saw.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
didn't have an opportunity to see the major injuries or major trades, how they affect anybody or whoever. Obviously, the biggest and main one I know, Jay Vick, drafted for Jacksonville. If that's Jay Vick, I think he drafted Etienne, and I didn't get to see about what that was. I remember at one point in the middle of the summer, James Robinson's value crashed after the draft, and Etienne went there. And now all of a sudden in a week, that value went skyrocketed again. And so, he went from not being worth $11 million to being definitely worth $11 million. I didn't track it on the NFC side where Etienne landed and what that team's design was, whether he was an integral part of their lineup or whether it was more, luxury. I didn't get to look.
I think James Robinson had about a 3-day tour through my roster, and then he got traded away.
Okay.
Yep.
I was on the phone when you and KC talked that out.
Yep.
Mark, Minnesota Mark has ETN in the NFC.
Yep.
I know on the NFC side, Joel is somebody that's been hit pretty hard with injuries, and then Cam, the LA Chargers.
Joel had all the rookie young running backs. I think Akers, Dobbins, Taylor, something like that. Swift, all the young guys from last year.
Yeah, and then Cam on the AFC is the one with Akers.
Yep.
So those are the two. Those are big.
All right. It's been.
I think the other polarizing player, and I didn't have it. I don't think he was listed on any of these matchups we talked about. It was a player I looked at it. I've been asked about him 6 times in the last 2 weeks from people across a lot of different leagues. And I think it's because of the mass media marketing of him. ESPN is the first level of fantasy info for a lot of water cooler people and medium knowledge people. And then it goes from there. Obviously, people at our level in our league use Football Guys and deeper sources, and Pro Football Focus and whatnot. The name that I've been keep getting asked about, and I think it's because people were shocked, he was so highly rated on the mass media outlets of last week with the ESPN. The Jalen Hurts hype train is getting asked like a lot lately to me because apparently he was rated like 9th overall or 8th or 9th overall behind the 7 super duper quarterbacks, the annual 7 duper quarterbacks behind them. That normal 7 group: Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, Dak, the big 5, 6, 7, and all of a sudden Jalen Hurts' name is like 8th, 9th, or 10th, and a lot of rankings, especially these major sites, major stuff. And I'm keep getting asked about that from people like, was he that good that I missed something last year? And I'm like, I don't think you missed anything. It just seems to me a lot of sites, a lot of writers, and a lot of mass media are on him. And I don't know if it's just they don't care that the reality Eagles are going to be 3-12, 3-13, but he's going to put up juicy stats. I heard on a XM show the other day, one of them, somebody predicted that Sirianni is going to be one of the worst coaches of the decade when he's over within a year or two. He thinks that the guy projected that, and there were 2 people that agreed with him, that Sirianni is going to go down in the next year or 2 as one of the worst hirings of the last decade. They were using words like the guy in Cleveland who went like 1 in 31. Who was that? Hugh Jackson like, and they were talking like that. And so I was just very polar opposite of, I'm hearing the Eagles are going to be this bad, but Matthew Berry and the fantasy establishment of the people, the medium level fantasy owner of America has him top 10.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good mix.
Very polar.
Yeah, I don't know if he finishes top 10, but he is one of those quarterbacks that can get out of the pocket and pick up yards. And he's a big guy, so around the end zone, he's easy to carry in.
That's exactly what they're doing. I keep hearing the phrase Konami code thrown around talking about some of these guys, and I think they're trying to plant their flag on a Konami code quarterback for this year. And I think that they would rather roll those dice, when giving advice, whereas I'm not going to roll those dice when my money's on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they seem to be looking at and posturing. It feels more about that a lot. I think from what I'm understanding is it's based on the reality assessment that people think the Eagles are broken and fallen apart, and they're not going to be good against Washington. They're not going to be good even against a rising Giants team, and they're not going to be good.
I
And
think
then
they'll be
they're
behind a lot.
extrapolating
It
that
will be
to
throwing.
yield, you know, two runs of 10 yards each is 2 points. A couple of throws down the field will be 2 points or 3 points. So 5 points in yardage and a 6-point touchdown, either run or thrown in your league. There's going to be a bunch of 11-point quarters for him late in the games and a lot of these ugly games because they're getting smoked. And then if you put that with the 7 or 8 he already scored in 3 quarters, that's 19 right there. So there's your 19 PPG. And I guess that's what they're doing. But it just feels like that because
He definitely has the potential. He definitely has the potential to be crazy in fantasy with the rushing added in. I'm not taking him, but I see the scenario where it could happen.
Does he have Josh Allen upside? That's what I always hear. That, if he has a good season this year, they can carry into next season. We could be looking at, the breakout Josh Allen season in a couple seasons. Like, what's his dynasty outlook? Is he a one season?
My analogy for him was more prior to good year Dak. Dak's first 3 years, he was a 3,400 yard quarterback guy. He was a 24 touchdown guy, and he only ran for 300-ish and 6. So the yardage totals in the air were down. The touchdown count was down, but the running got him up. And Dak, in his early career, that first time in 16, 17, 18, he was finishing like that number, 9, 10, 11, depending on your league. But, the standard white guys that don't run, the Brady, the Cousins, the guys, those guys, to finish 9th or 8th against the leg guys, you've got to have a massive TD count, 40 or more, like Tom did, or a massive 4,800 yardage count. Yeah. You can't crack. So, I'm looking at the numbers. If you run for, you got to, example, when you're the running guys and they all run for 500 or 400 and have to throw in 6, 7, 8 touchdowns, when you're Ryan, Brady, Cousins, the white guys that don't run, to make that up, it's like 1,000 or 1,200 more yards you require. So even if you're the running guys throw for 3,600, you got to go to 4,800 to match that, and 40. That's even a lot for those guys. So I thought it seemed to be what he looked like, but I guess that's what the look is, that they're just that bad, and he's gonna fourth quarter this thing to a high PPG, and it won't matter about the win loss. But I've got asked about him like 5 times in the last 2 weeks. Guys at the gym, a guy in my office, a kid in my office. Hey, I know you know this stuff, and I'm in my thing. Tell me about this guy. Why is it? And they're showing me. I kid in my office. Let's get the ESPN print. He's a medium level guy, not a guy from our level, our league here. But it's everyone in a lot of levels is asking me. So apparently, it has permeated the low, medium, and advanced levels of fantasy.
All right, so we can probably go on for several hours talking about all this fantasy stuff. I think we've had a good schedule breakdown. Obviously, we'll get some jawing back and forth once everyone sees who they get to play, what week, and what weeks they can circle on their calendar. Oh yeah, Rinku's already got it going.
I was just writing in my projected score in week 1. 4,122 to 83. I just want to write down my projected win-loss score, my matchup later. Sorry, I just want to.
Now, can we do an over/under on that?
The different. I will win my week 1 matchup, and I'll give you. You can pitch me what over/under. What do you want to say? Over/under 10 or 20? How big of a number you want to play?
I don't know. It's your matchup.
All right, I'll go bold. Over/under 20. I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna win by more than 20.
Okay. Writing it down.
I'm right there.
Sending a message to
I'm
Jeff
gonna go- I'm
right
gonna-
now.
And I'm gonna go on the basis of I have a defensive team. He has an offensive team. If what we hear is true, defenses are always ahead and offenses in week one, then I should, the way my team is designed, have more dudes who should hit their optimum in week one than not. So that's what I'm going on.
And
And
when we're starting 20 plus, I mean, winning by 20, that's not great.
No, that's not. Oh, I didn't know how we are. Well, you give a higher number, and I'll give you a plus or minus on that too.
We wanted a hot take, too.
Well, I'm kind of scared. I think I'll lose by 70. I ain't gonna do some bullshit like that. Me. I mean, it's like Ahmad Rashad asking MJ in the hotel lobby. Mike, quick question. Last second shot scenario, who takes the last shot? Me.
Michael, game on the line. Who would take the last shot?
Me. That's a dumb question. Me.
A quick question, Koo. Week one matchup, you got the tight end group there, and you got Donald and Daniel Hunter coming back. Who going? Me. That's a dumb question. Me.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, I think this might be a good time to let the league know that we're gonna be hosting a show weekly. The commissioners. Still looking at logistics on if it's going to be midweek, late week, or what, but it's going to be between weeks and talk shop, talk how the first week went, how the second week is looking, what are the big matchups coming in, who's doing well, who's looking at like they're going to be in the lottery, those kind of things.
And ideally, we would like to have a rotating guest host every week. So there'll be some reaching out to people, and please feel free to reach out to us if you want to do that. And then we also want to be doing it in a way that we are creating a forum for other people to participate. So it's going to be probably Zoom, but other people are going to be able to call in, so to speak, pop in, talk about what we were just talking about, talk about what they want to talk about for the upcoming week, for the last week, whatever. And then hop off, But yeah, it'd be nice to have us two commissions, a rotating guest host, and then participation from the whole league.
Yep. We encourage participation. This is going to be our league to build on and get camaraderie, and feel free to contribute any way you feel fit in this league. We encourage it, and we hope to see more of it.
Jeff, if you want to defend yourself, who to reach out to.
Jeff, you can defend yourself, and that'd be fun to see.
You mean for example, when a trade goes down in our league and the Slack is on fire, make sure you have your phone charged on Sunday to call in and defend yourself. What the hell?
Probably not a Sunday, probably more like a Tuesday, Wednesday.
A Tuesday, okay, whatever.
You know what I mean? So that we're firmly in between weeks, looking back and looking forward, but we'll see. It'll probably fluctuate a little week to week. But
if you have to defend your scapegoatness, call the commissioner and become a guest. That way you can air out your grievance.
Okay. Right.
Or if you have a grievance, the airing of grievances.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to get some Koo in a XFF, like when Green Bay Matt would call in and just rant and rail and basically hang up the phone. You know what I mean?
So like any New York Jets fan. Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, any kind of participation is welcome.
Well, I want to thank you, Koo. Thank you for being here, and Chip, you too.
Yeah, thank you both. Speaking of
man, this was great. Look at the top when you said you creatively worked on the schedule. You really did. While you were talking, I kind of zoomed in on some more looks, and you are right. You really put in a lot of cool work in some of the ways, even the blue columning, like you said, of how we did the divisions because of the bye weeks this year. And kudos to that again to you too. That dialogue that was opened a few weeks and months ago with the reality schedule and talking about what it is and what it's not. And Everyone's facing it, but to do it and handle it with the way you guys did was terrific work. And this is a really good looking fruit of all that discussion and labor. So it's really exciting. It looks great. Good job. Thank you.
Well, I think that is the episode for our schedule release. Enjoy the schedule.
All right,
Any
you guys
last
take care.
word, Chris?
Yeah, thanks everybody. You guys take care.
Yep, take care. Welcome everyone to the TDL. Nope. Oh God, I can't do this.
I can cut all this shit out. I'm just gonna let it roll, but I can cut it whenever.
Yep. All right. The TDL
Schedule reveal.
schedule reveal. All right.